What's going on, everybody? This is Goofy Rexy. I hope you guys are all doing well today. So in today's video, we're going to be covering my roster review here. It's actually been a couple of days since I did one. In the very first video I did on this channel was actually a roster review. I think it was about 296 days or something like that. Something crazy, something around there. But since then, a lot has happened. A lot has grown on my roster here. A lot more characters have been unlocked. So we're going to be talking about that today in this video. You know, I'm actually going to do it right now. We also do have some data mines too as well that we just came in for the X-Men. Some X-Men characters are going to be showing up, some new playable characters, you know, too as well. So I want to make sure that I do at least touch base on that and kind of like based on my roster, what I'm going to be doing, you know, moving forward to make sure that maybe I can unlock those characters or what I can do with those characters. Kind of just my thought process in regards to, you know, when new characters come into the game, what exactly I do as a cheap to play, you know, kind of light spender, you know, in this game. So I actually have it right over here. I'm gonna pull it up right now, my roster. I'm actually gonna kick back out directly onto the roster page. I'm gonna go over to at least show you where I'm at. So I'm at level 76 right now. I'm at 5.3 million TCP currently at the moment. I got 5 war MVPs, by the way, just so that you know. Let me beat my chest. 4 war MVPs. I'm gonna tell you the honest truth. All those 5 war MVPs, we lost them. So let's just move on. Let's move on immediately from that. It's not something to be excited about. And then in terms of days played, I'm 543 days played. I would like to say that those 543 days were good days, all of them, but there's probably about 270 of those days that actually probably weren't good. I would say I didn't actually start learning how to play this game until about 180 days ago. So the math probably doesn't add up. Whatever. Y'all mathematicians, don't judge me. It's not my thing. My wife's an accountant. So if you want somebody to do math properly, you go ask her. All right. But in regards to this, 543 days in, some mistakes that I've made here. We're going to be talking about some of the regrets, the things that I don't necessarily like that I've done, but let's talk about the good things first. So the first thing is, in terms of characters unlocked right now, I currently have only not unlocked Ghost. I have not unlocked Doc Ock, which I'm getting close to being able to unlock him. When he comes back around, I should be able to get him. Yeah, just have Negasonic to farm. Dr. Doom, obviously I don't have yet. I haven't done Dark Dimension 4. Not even close to being able to do Dark Dimension 4 at the current moment. You know, I gotta ask my boy Tano Mac, you know, how he's doing with that 20%, I believe, completion already on, you know, on Dark Dimension 4, brother. Thank you. And then Yellow Jacket too as well. You know, I haven't unlocked him yet. I'm a light spender. I'm a cheap to play player. You know, I don't buy every character. I don't also buy, you know, every offer. I'm typically, you know, I'm a resident guppy here, you know, so I actually only spend kind of on some small offers every now and again here. You know, I might buy a character every now and again if I do like them. So Anti-Venom, as we affectionately call him. I did buy Anti-Venom, you know, and I have no regrets there when it comes to Anti-Venom. I did buy Emma too as well. I did buy Electro because I just had a good feeling about her. Still do have a very good feeling about her, even though I haven't used her yet, because obviously I don't have Doc Ock. I haven't invested into her yet, but there's some characters that I do buy in this game, depending on how I feel at the moment. But for the most part, cheap to play spender, you know, when it comes to some of these offers here. Like I typically range from about 25 to about 50 to 70 a month, depending on what the month is, you know, that we're into. But I digress. Let's talk about where we are. So Hela, right now, these are my favorites. I'm working on farming shards for Hela, Colossus, Thanos, and Negasonic. And then I'm also gearing up Cable right now. So right now I'm actually working on the entire XForce team. So I'm kind of bringing characters, or I'm bringing characters right now, that XForce team, up to a stopping point. So, or character progression point, as I like to call it. I have a video on here about character progressions. I'll link it up to the top too, so that you guys can take a look at it. So character progression points here, you know, pretty much what I do is that I bring up, when I'm working on a team, I bring up characters to a specific level, and I kind of like, so for instance, right now, level 50, gear tier 9 is where I have my XForce team sitting, or where I want to have my XForce team sitting right now. So Cable is not at gear tier 9 yet. So once I do bring him up to gear tier 9, I'm going to stop and I'm going to start bringing back up again. So actually, just to give you an idea, just going to go directly over to the XForce team here and show you. So right now, this is where they are. 52 for Deadpool because I did that earlier before the X-Force team came out. But I got everybody now at level 50 and gear tier 9 except for Cable. So once I get Cable up to level 650 and gear tier 9, I'm going to stop and I'm going to cycle back around and start off with X23, who was the first character. So I'm going to bring her up to level 60 and gear tier 10. And I'm going to work my way all the way around again, get everybody to 60 gear tier 10. And then after that, I'm going to bring them up to 65 and 11. And then I'm going to leave a couple characters at 65 and 11. And I'm going to bring up maybe 2, I believe, of these characters, probably X23 and Negasonic and maybe Deadpool to level 71 and gear tier 12. And I'm going to leave the other 2 characters probably at level 65 and gear tier 11. I haven't figured that out fully yet, but the biggest thing is that making sure that you implement character progression points so that you're kind of saving a little bit on gear, you're not over investing, and you're keeping the teams, you know, at a relatively close collective power so that you can actually get good usage out of them, whether it be in Blitz, in war, wherever, so that they actually work itself out. But apart from that, obviously worked on some good characters here. Symbiote Spider-Man, Black Bolt, Emma, Ebony Maw. Kind of regret a little bit of Rocket Raccoon. I brought him all the way up to gear tier 13. He is at 7 stars and at 6 red. So yes, the investment at gear tier 13 was good, but he was only at 6 and 4 before he got to 13. So in fairness, I'd use Rocket Raccoon for Dark Dimension 2. I don't regret using him for Dark Dimension 2. I just regret the gear invested into him because there were other characters that could have probably taken that tech gear. Or, you know, like, for instance, right, Minerva, I also took to Dark Dimension 2, but investing gear into Rocket Raccoon ate away gear that I could have used for Minerva to bring her to Dark Dimension 3 quicker. But right, I use up a lot of that tech gear to be able to get Rocket Raccoon, and he's not necessarily the best character for Dark Dimension 2 anyways, so I probably regret just a little bit of the investment with Rocket Raccoon. Starlord, I don't regret. The only regret with Starlord is that they have not brought, I shouldn't have brought him up to 74. 71 would have been fine. But in terms of, he's at 6 and 6, right? So I mean, he's gonna be higher in general. He was a great tune for Dark Dimension 2. Only regret is that they haven't invested in giving him a little bit more, because his health, as I said before in a previous video that I just talked about, where characters that need a rework, he's at 124,000 health. Would have liked if he had actually just been a little bit more beefed up, in my opinion, in terms of the health pool. Don't really care about the damage, don't really care about the armor, that's fine, but just give him a little bit more on the health, and the health portion of it, I think, would be really helpful for Starlord. But don't regret him, just wish that he had a little bit more health than he currently does have. Phoenix, obviously we already know enough about Shuri. Don't regret, but just wish that some of her stats would translate outside of raids. You know, she's helpful in Dark Dimension 3 for me. She definitely helped me with that Iron Fist, which is actually the Phoenix node, but the Iron Fist node, you know, that we all call it, you know, because it is so difficult if you do get double Iron Fisted. So therefore, she was really helpful for that, to be able to, you know, put heal blocks, the 2-turn heal blocks on Iron Fist. So don't regret it. But once again, just wish that she would have had a little bit more use. Now, G13 Invisible Woman might perplex you just a little bit. She was actually on one of my Dark Dimension 2 teams. I used her, you know, Starlord and Minerva, and then Rocket Raccoon and Groot. It was actually a really solid Dark Dimension 2 team. Was able to one-shot every node except for the Miss Marvel node and the Ultron node. The Ultron node and the Miss Marvel node were the only nodes that I was not able to one-shot. So the team worked really well. Unfortunately, it's once again that thing with the bio gear. You know, same with Groot, it's bio gear and then alien spores. So it's kind of just a regret from the aspect of investing orange gear into those characters. But everything else, for the most part, has been okay, except for this team here, my Defenders team. My Defenders team got way too much investment. I brought them all the way up to gear tier 12. You know, Punisher is also at gear tier 12 too as well. But the biggest thing is these things right here. Ooh. T-Force got into this Defenders team, y'all. T-Force T4 on the basic, T4 on the passive. I can't tell you whether or not it was worth it at the time. No T4s on Luke Cage. T4 on the basic for Jessica Jones. T4 on the basic for Daredevil. T4 as well on Punisher's basic and his passive also Oh my goodness. There were no T4s that were any at all necessary for this team. I wish that I had not invested in any T4s. And I also wish that I had not brought them all the way up to gear tier 12. This is a lot of bio gear, people. A lot of bio gear. And some of these buttons, I started clicking on them. Look at it. Look at this orange gear. Oh, God. That's phosphates, isomers, MRI. Oh, man. Catalyst, SBCs went into that. You know, tools. I just wish that I had not invested. And then started clicking on. Oh, man, listen. I wish I had not invested some of that gear into them. You know, I wish that I had kind of saved some of that gear here. There's a lot of mistakes that I made. I think, you know, bringing characters and teams like the Guardians team. Mantis got to gear tier 12. You know, Drax is at gear tier 11, which is okay. But it's like some of those characters didn't need to go any higher than what they did. And ultimately, when you invest so much time into bad teams, invest so much gear into teams that are not going to be that great for you, what you end up doing is that you slow down your progress for other things, right? If you're spending so much time farming defenders, you know, then you're losing out on opportunities to be able to farm for other legendaries. It took me 9 months on this account, by the way, for me to be able to get a single legendary. 9 months on this account for me to be able to get a single legendary. And well, if you count Iron Man, I guess I got him before that, but a single legendary simply because I put too much investment into teams and into characters that I probably should not have put investment into. And that's one of my biggest regrets that I'll say. Make sure that you are farming for legendaries in the very beginning part of this game, because this game is about legendaries and you want to make sure that you have good legendary characters. But in terms of the roster and what I'm doing now, essentially, like I said, I'm working on the XForce team. You know, I'll show you my save squads here that I do have right now. So for my save squads, these are kind of where things are lined up right now. So I'm using Invisible Woman on this team here with Minerva. It actually does get me some defensive wins, so I can't really complain about it too much. My symbiotes, I would like to put a little bit more investment into, but unfortunately, you know, you kind of got to get them to a stopping point and then move on to some other teams so that you can kind of build those teams out as well. Would like to be able to put a little bit more investment into the Asgardian team, at least Thor, you know, just so that I can get him to be a little bit higher. I do want to take this team off of war defense. They don't really get a lot of wins for me anymore. They kind of maybe get like one every other war. When you're in gold 4, this doesn't really go very well unless you have like a 400k, 450k Asgardian team. So I actually could get a lot more usage out of this team on offense. So I probably will start to do that soon. I do have my Marauders team here, you know, Mystique. You know, Mystique needs a little bit more investment. So does Sabretooth. Sinister, absolutely, and definitely Stripe. So this team overall needs a little bit more investment, but I just stopped working on them just so I can move on to, you know, finally work on the XForce team, which is obviously a superior war offense team. The defenders, obviously, we talked about the mistakes there already. My Humans team could use a little bit more investment. I think Yo-Yo should go to gear tier 13. Crystal probably should go up to level 71. She's only at 68 right now. And Quake probably would make sense to go to level 65 and 11 at least, just to kind of even things off a little bit to a certain extent. Perk is already at 65 and 11, and he's also at 6-star. I just haven't ranked him up yet because I'm cheap when it comes to my resources. And then, of course, X-Men, definitely. Cyclops is too low. You know, Wolverine got to get kicked off. We got to put Beast on here. Beast is only at 3 stars, and I think he's at 4 red stars. So obviously there's a little bit of a pause, you know, because a 3-star character is not really going to do much for me currently right now, based on where I'm at. This team is okay. We can build them up a little bit more moving forward. This team definitely needs to be built up higher. Corvus, Proxima. Proxima is actually a gear tier 14 candidate. Thanos is a gear tier 14 candidate, and then Cole is just hurting because of the lack of stars that I have on him right now. He's at 70 in gear tier 12. Just lacks stars currently right now, so that's kind of hurting him too as well. You know, Maw should be going to 6 stars soon, so not really there. And a couple other teams that could get some more investment. Supernatural, kind of pausing. I know that there's some rumors about some other characters coming into the game, so we're kind of pausing on that where that is concerned. Young Avengers, I'm just going to build them up because they're probably my favorite team in the game, so at some point I'll be investing a little bit more into them. Vision got to get kicked off this team. Ironheart got to come onto this team. You know, then we probably should build this team up just a little bit more. Mercs, the rest of the characters on this Mercs team got to get built up. And then we start talking about some other teams here. You know, I have Kosa with the Avengers. Works every now and again. We'll see what happens, right? And some other things here. I haven't built up a Fury Coulson team. Not even using Coulson on the Shield team anymore. So listen, there's some things that need to be worked on. Sinister Six, once we get Doc Ock, we'll figure that out. And obviously I talked about my X-Force team already. So there are some other things that I do need to work on here. So specifically, you know, like I said, yeah, maybe the Hydra team probably should get some more investment into here. I also do need to start sort of solidify some other areas like my arena team, which is the reason why I said I'm going to be circling back around to my Black Order team. So I'm going to be putting some more investment into that team there. For my raid team, I would like to put some more investment into the symbiotes, or at least get, you know, characters like Yo-Yo and Black Bolt a little bit higher, just so that I can go through raids a little bit easier. I know that, you know, that Yo-Yo and Black Bolt with some other symbiote characters are actually a really good U7 team. We're doing U7.1 right now. You know, and in arena, I'm hovering around 120 or so when it comes to arena. So I know that if I worked on my Black Order team, got them a little bit higher, that I could actually progress a little bit further when it comes to my arena roster, my arena team. There are going to be some new characters coming out into the game. You know, we've got some rumors on the X-Men team. You know, also some rumors here, some X-Men characters. So, you know, from the data mines perspective here, I'm actually going to pull it right up as we talk about it. So in the data mines here, it looks like we're going to be having some new characters. Sneak peek, it said here, you know, some astonishing X-Men, you know, characters are going to be sort of announced and sort of not released later, but going to be talked about and announced here. And then further on, as we get down here, I'm going to try to move my big old head out of the way. Real Time and Mojo's Mayhem is coming. 6 new playable characters. Battle Sim for Blitz also, which we're excited about. Obviously, you know, new event campaign, and of course more too as well. So the biggest thing is going to be these 6 new playable characters, which we are believing are going to be some X-Men characters. Obviously, 2 of those characters have already been announced. Shatterstar and then Longshot are going to be announced. We're expecting that probably some of the other characters that could be coming to the game are going to be Kitty Pryde and Iceman, you know, and then probably some other X-Men characters too. You know, Rogue, Gambit, I know have been rumored before too as well. So that could potentially be the 6 characters. I don't know. There's just rumored characters that are around. So I couldn't tell you specifically. But what I can say is that the biggest thing for me when it comes to new characters that are going to be released, how do I approach it? As a cheap to play player, or light spender, you know, I'm kind of a person that I don't mind spending on certain characters, right? So Anti-Venom I bought, right? There are other characters who I bought. I bought Emma, right? One offer, but bought them nonetheless. You know, I don't mind spending and putting some resources into buying some of these characters here. But for the most part, the way that I approach it is I will prepare with gear, right? In the raid store, I'll buy some extra gear. If I know a new character is coming that I'm going to want to be able to get and then level up. If it's an event campaign, then I know that I'll use my campaign energy refreshes in order to be able to, I'll use my cores to get campaign energy refreshes for the event campaigns so that I can go ahead and unlock those characters so that I can use that to get more orb fragments to then unlock those characters. So similar to Stature right now. So Stature currently right now is a character that is in the event campaign. So I know that I will go ahead and I will use those core refreshes so that I could get more orb fragments and open up, you know, orbs for that character. I didn't buy Stature, and I'm about 25 shards away right now from being able to unlock her at 5 stars. Based on the way that I play, I know that if a new team is going to unlock legendaries, I typically know that I'm probably not going to get that character on first pass anyways. So what I will do is that I'll do the very best that I can in blitzes, in the event campaigns. You know, if there's an event for extra shards for characters, then I'll make sure that I do the very best that I possibly can to get those extra shards. You know, so I'll do things like that to make sure that I'm at least close enough to where I can probably get those characters. If you're a spender in this game, you know, you're playing a different game and you can go ahead and you can spend and then still do the events too as well. You know, but for me, I know that as a cheap to play you know, sort of cost-effective light spender player, you know, that I'm probably not going to get those characters on first pass. So I'll do the very best that I possibly can to make sure that I do go about, you know, utilizing the resources that I have available to me, blitzing harder, you know, using those extra events that come around. If it's an event campaign, using those core energy refreshes, things like that to make, you know, if it's a milestone character that's going to be released, obviously, you know, spending the appropriate gold that I need to be able to get those character shards, things like that. Obviously, also as well, buying the extra gear through raid credits, or if you want to, through the supply store, buying the extra gear pieces that you need, or farming the extra gear pieces that you need so that you can go ahead and gear up those characters when you do actually unlock them. So that's kind of the approach that I take to sort of kind of, I guess, bridging the gap as a light spender. Obviously, if you are a spender, then you can spend, but I still think that the value is there for doing other things too as well. If you're free to play, then take the approach that I'm mentioning, which is, you know, if you're not going to spend, then obviously utilizing to the best you possibly can. Obviously, Blitz is a little bit tough because if you're not above like 6 million TCP, it's going to be hard for you to be able to get high scores and to be able to get those character shards, but do the best that you can. You know, do them as many rotations as you possibly can to get the highest score so that you could get those character shards. But listen, I'm digressing here. We've talked enough about some of these things already. I'm going to kind of go back to the game screen here, kind of finish things off. You know, obviously there's a few things that I am currently working on moving forward that I would hope, you know, could get better. Obviously, I'm in Dark Dimension 3, as I think I've talked about already. If I didn't, I apologize. But, you know, going to be working on some other characters for Dark Dimension 3, Thanos and Proxima, you know, too as well. And then obviously Carnage. Carnage is very close. You know, at Gear Tier 13, you know, so we're going to be getting him to Dark Dimension 4 too as well. Dark Dimension, no, not Dark Dimension 4, Dark Dimension 3. We're going to be getting Carnage to Dark Dimension 3, you know, soon too as well. But listen, guys, I appreciate you guys so much for watching the video. Obviously, is there any questions that you guys have for me, please let me know. This is just kind of a quick insight. It's hard to do a full video on a roster review. So if you guys have any questions specifically, ask me. I'm very willing and available to answer those questions. But thank you guys so much for watching. Want to hear what your guys' comments are. And as usual, guys, be blessed and y'all be safe.